and welcome to the Valve Bounce. Hey, Steve. Steve. Hello, Steve. Oh my goodness. What's happened?
Internet dropped as soon as it switched. The internet dropped.
Classic.
What was that?
Welcome to the Valve Bounce.
Welcome to the Valve Bounce.
Shit together.
It's not my fault. Clearly, the internet decided to have a packet loss right at that very moment.
Oh, well, welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to do a bit of a review of the Imola, or the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And what did you think, Steve?
That was great. What a great intro.
Great intro.
Mate, it was a good race. It was a good race, but I think the whole weekend was quite interesting overall. A little bit of McLaren dominance, then disappeared on the Sunday, and we had all sorts of things going on, mate. Did you enjoy the weekend?
I did. I loved the fact that I'll show something later on in the stream, but just loved being back at a traditional circuit. The photos, the vision, the romance, the prestige.
The prestige.
And it wasn't, thanks to, I guess, maybe some tyre stuff, it wasn't quite the Monaco, single file thing that they thought it would be. So I was quite happy.
Mate, I don't know. I mean, there's still no official announcement, but I don't know why we're getting rid of this track. It's just a good bloody track, and it rewards good drivers.
Yep. I agree. It would be sad for it to go, but no announcement yet. So it's pretty sad. But I mean, Max just did it again. Just gets it done, mate. He just delivered a dominant performance. Obviously overtook Oscar. We'll get into that a bit later, but went on to secure Red Bull's 400th Grand Prix win. There's a whole bunch of and some if it's not from a dominant performance, he did really, really well. But there were all these strategic errors from McLaren.
Yep.
It just, I don't know. There's just a bit going on that in terms of the Drivers' Championship, there just seems to be a little bit of a shake-up from the weekend.
Yeah, well, a few different things played out. Obviously, we had a couple of upgrades. I mean, Ferrari brought some small amounts of upgrades. Red Bull, as we know, had brought an upgrade to the floor in Miami, but then the additional bits to Verstappen's car at Imola, and they seem to really help him. And is that track specific? I guess we're going to find out. I don't think Monaco is going to give us that answer, and I don't think Spain will probably give us that answer either, because it's a very smooth track, which is what the Red Bull particularly likes. So it's going to be interesting because we'll get into the next round in the next pod, but it threw up some spanners over the weekend that McLaren weren't really thinking they'd have.
Yeah, totally agree. And I guess it's a good call out. We're going to have a video up by tomorrow for the Monaco preview. So keep your eyes on that one. We're going to make that just a regular YouTube video because we've got some time. We're going to record it and chuck it up. So that should be ready to go. But I guess we better just kick off a little bit into our debrief. The quali, let's recap on that. Massive epic quali session, and it almost had that feel I think Monaco is probably my favorite because the extreme outcomes of where you land in that quali session have such a big outcome on the race. And so I think Monaco is my favorite quali session, but damn, that was exciting. And they just kept pipping each other, and Oscar put out an epic pole lap.
Well done, Oscar, because that was a very good lap. Even though I don't think it was perfect for him, it was still right on the edge of what he had to do. That Red Bull, I saw a graphic of Max's start to the lap, and he had like on entry to turn 1, he already had a car length, and I thought
he just nailed that. Yeah,
he nailed that first run down to that first corner, which set him up for that first sector perfectly. But yeah, it wasn't a great, like, I mean, the things that I guess are not so great we'll come back to, but yeah, watching Oscar just nail a lap and get it done, it's something. It's so good to see. It's disappointing, the result of the race, but we'll get to that. But yeah, and again, Norris comes in Q3, can't do it. Just
he
can't do it.
He just had a big failing there, didn't he? He just didn't quite deliver, and I thought it was the start of the weekend of him just almost, it was like a resignation of, okay, I can't do this. Obviously turned that around in the race a fair bit, but yeah, it was pretty poor effort from him, and I think that, like, you start looking at where people landed in that quali session, we had some real random sort of going up and down in there. Obviously, Ferrari was just nowhere. It just seemed like it was really open and ready for the taking, and he just didn't grab it.
Yeah, that's it. And Russell snuck past him right at the end there on mediums, which seemed to be. Oh, I'd be so interested to have seen the lap time that the other two would have done on a medium. I just somehow think they would have gone faster, even though it was a risk. Yeah, it was just an interesting qualifying session. Tires not making it, which is a little bit frustrating for me because I like to see them on the ragged edge. But yeah, just so good. And Verstappen's bounce back from Friday, because his practice session on Friday was horrendous. That car looked terrible. But again, Red Bull turned it around, and there he is.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I thought after the practice, I thought, okay, we're going to have just a dominant McLaren race here, and chalk and cheese, and I guess kudos to them. They were just doing all the hard work to get it right, and we don't know what they were trying. And like, even in some of those sessions, like even Lando, I think, went out and tested a Monaco rear wing at one point. So I think people were trying different things, but they just looked like they could not find the sweet spot. But yeah, managed to do their homework overnight with the simulators and people back at the factory, and yeah, they did a reasonable job in quali. Obviously got P2, and yeah, pretty good in the race. So
that's it.
Yeah. And what was your takes on the Aston Martin for their quali?
Very random, wasn't it? Like sudden pace out of nowhere. And I know they used, I think it's the same set or two sets of the mediums, but it's hard to say whether it's an actual upturn in speed or if it's just jumping on the tire that's quicker.
Hot to trot in that particular tire at that time. Yeah.
It's really hard. I mean, we'll go to Monaco. We'll see how they go there. I mean, you can probably rag a lap out of Monaco if the car's not perfect. But yeah, look, it was good to see them both up there. Stroll quit his tennis championship to come in and actually drive for once, which was nice to see. And okay, it went backwards on Sunday, but I think they can take away a little bit from it and say that it's at least a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It was a good result, and I guess they really needed that. They've had some shocking weeks in both quali and racing. Yeah, so that sort of felt like a little bit of an uptick where it was like, Fernando's managed to squeeze something out of it, which was good.
Yeah, well, he's still yet to score points. I can't believe that we're a quarter of the way through this season already, and Fernando hasn't scored any points.
And Stroll has, it's still amazing. And I know the quote from him is, the unluckiest driver. And I would argue he's definitely not the unluckiest, but he certainly hasn't had a whole lot of luck, So
no, that's it exactly.
Yeah.
So what about Ferrari, mate? I mean, you talk about chalk and cheese in terms of them switching on the 2 days, but that qualifying in front of the Tifosi wasn't wasn't pretty.
It was not, and the car did not look good when they were running. Some of the laps there, particularly early on, it really did look like a bit of a handful. Could not get the speed out of it, and it was. I mean, leading into the race, it was kind of I was feeling like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to Foci? Is there going to be a riot? Flares. There's going to be like a bit crazy, but it's probably a bit too early.
Fans, mate, calm down.
We'll definitely touch on that later, I can tell you, because that's the worst that we've seen in a long time. Some of that stuff, but they just could not get it together, and I guess Fred has said that we just need to unlock the potential. The potential's there. We need to unlock it. And I was like, man, this car doesn't even look like it's got any potential. You put upgrades on it, not major, but you put some upgrades on it, and that was the qualifying result. Like, where are you, Ferrari?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? Like, considering what they were last year towards the end, on pace with McLaren, looking really good, and then to come into this season, change the car and the philosophy, I guess, and they've really gone backwards. So maybe it's just that they thought they understood but didn't. I don't know. They need to find some speed and find it fast, because Leclerc will want to be on pole and winning in Monaco, because it's he did it last year and it's his home Grand Prix and everything else. But it's hard to see it happening.
I'm not sure they're going to be strong there, but look, who knows? Maybe those upgrades work better on a slower, cornered, paced kind of circuit. But it is a good one. We'll keep our eye on that one. But let's talk about one of the most massive, spectacular, epic walkaways that we've seen in a long time. Tsunoda's crash, mate. Tell me. Shakes of like just being a little bit too desperate to drag something out when the car wasn't quite there for it. I don't know.
First thing, Q1 shouldn't need to push that hard. So took way too much curb, bottomed the car out, lost it. Look, that one's also Tsunoda. That wasn't the car. That was poor car placement. And it caught him out, but man, was it a spectacular crash. Best I've seen for a long time. And not that I celebrate crashes, but anytime a driver walks away from that type of thing is just wow.
And I guess the way it was kind of covered too, that we had the aftermath and the car just looked like it was totaled, and Tsunoda's basically getting out. We're like, well, he's okay. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
And then like watching the replays and seeing that bottom out going too much over the curb, and then just the way it hit and then that roll, it was huge. It was huge.
It's just amazing. I honestly, watching it, I was like, oh shit, I hope he's okay. The moment he got out of the car, I was like, rewatch that, because just spectacular. Kind of like the Indy stuff, I guess.
Big crashes in the Indy, that's for sure. But it was good. I think g'day Jeff. We'll just jump in there. Thank goodness for the halo. Very true. It did its job once again. And I think you put up something there about the Ferrari missing Carlos. It does feel that way sometimes.
we kind of said that last week, didn't we? Yeah. We at least posed the question of whether they are missing him. And it definitely does feel like they are now. But look, Hamilton on the Sunday was mega. So
yeah.
I know. We'll see what happens. If the car's right, I have no qualms with either of the two drivers delivering.
Dragging a result. Yep.
But you got to start to think about the Carlos effect, because everywhere he goes, that team always
just keeps going up,
skipping forward. So
I
think they do miss him on occasion.
Yes, I think they do. Last one,
Colapinto, mate. after Jack and everything else went, Jackie boy, hold my beer, mate.
Yeah, he goes,
Mate,
fucking
idiot.
Well, it really was, I guess, probably something that like Jack would have been just sitting there going, just a little chuckle to himself.
We don't want any of the fan base going after him any more than they already have. So he wasn't doing that. He was there feeling empathy for him and, hoping he was okay. But man, like, honestly, when I first saw that, I was like,
yeah,
Alpine, if this doesn't show you that you just need time in the seat, like all rookies.
Sorry, did you say money? Oh, sorry, you said time. Yeah, you need time in the seat. Yeah, gotcha.
Money, no money here.
No cash, Robbo.
No cash for me.
Yeah. I like totally. I just think that they need time, and it's nothing against Colapinto, but he needs time. And I think the issue he's got now is that now you're going to Monaco, and that could be either a race that he just says to himself, you know what, I'm just going to go at 9/10. I'm not going to push. I'm just going to get through the weekend. But that could again be a second week where it has massive potential for an accident and more damage to a car because he hasn't had the seat time to get up to speed. Whereas, probably you would have to presume that Jack probably would have done a better job just getting more comfortable in the car as he was. So we'll never know.
No, we won't. But I really do believe that Jack had gone through his little, rookie era stage of little things and done the learning already. I know he was mighty unlucky in Miami for the incident that he did have with Lawson. And I don't think that was his doing. So even Ottmauer was questioned on it, and even he was like, mate, some of it was the team's doing, some of it was Jack, sure, but it wasn't enough time in the seat to draw a conclusion. So we'll so I guess we just Liam's done nothing. That's a question we're going to pose later, mate, because he could very well be in trouble, I think, come the mid part of the year. Another one.
I think that summer break is not looking great at the moment. All right, well, let's kind of move on and talk about the race a little bit. And I guess it would just be the natural spot to sort of talk about that start and that turn one overtake from Max.
No. That's far too late in the piece, right? We got to start from the start where Oscar got the jump and he was clearly in the lead.
He was clearly in the lead, and you had Muppet Boy, who got a fantastic start behind him, going, "Oh, what the fuck is he doing?" It's like,
doing?
Mate, he's defending from you because you had a mega start.
I know. He was up his ass before, I reckon after about 10 meters, he was on his clacker.
And he was right there, and rightly so. Oscar just doing, oh crap, okay, I've got to defend that. And Max just did the old, no, I'm just going to hang back here, and then you'll send it.
See ya.
Absolutely nailed that.
Do you reckon Oscar's going to allow that to happen ever again?
Nope.
I think you'll learn from that one.
He said as much too.
I know. I loved his comment. He's like, well, what would you do different? Break 10 meters later.
You gotta love those quality questions, right? Like, well, what would you do different? Well, I mean, in hindsight, I'd break later, and then I'd, make sure I got to the apex first, and I'd be in P1.
I'd be in P1. Yep.
Yeah, he was. And it is a question we'll pose a bit later, but there's obviously this. He felt like it was well and truly in hand. Didn't expect that send from Max, and Max just showing that he's a great racer, and he literally just went, I have to take this because otherwise we're in trouble. I'm not going to, I might not win. Turns out he had the car pace anyway to bloody, to make it work. So it was fantastic from him.
Look, it was a mega move by Verstappen. I don't care whoever you are. He literally, he was on the braking line, the correct line for late brakes. But it takes a level of skill on cold tires to get it pulled up and get around. And he did it to perfection. And it helps as well that I think it's interesting, but I really feel like between Piastri and him, they kind of have a level of understanding of each other and how they race. So there's a little bit of respect given both ways, which is different to the way, for instance, he treats Lando or Hamilton. Which is it's such an interesting dynamic to watch unfold. And I'm sure they'll have it coming together at some stage. But just great move by Max. And Oscar, you were napping, mate, and you got mugged.
Yeah, you did. And it just shows also that in terms of race starts and racecraft, that we've been talking up how good Oscar's been. He's been doing these moves to people, taking people unexpectedly, catching them off guard. And, just that, his comments, I've learnt my lesson, and so that is something that I think is a great timing in terms of the championship for him to be able to make that adjustment when racing wheel to wheel with Max, because I feel like it's going to be those two dueling it out, perhaps at the turn one more often than not.
Yeah, look, I think so. So it's a good learning curve, massive learning curve, and let's not forget it's his third season.
Yeah, right? Correct. That's what I mean.
Yeah, he's still got learnings, and that was one that he hadn't encountered. He'd mugged everyone else, but he'd not been mugged himself. So had to come around eventually.
Yeah, I know. And it's a little hard to take because I know, like, when it happened, I was super pissed off, which is why I knew it was a freaking epic move. I was just like, oh, no! and then, like, along with that, with the rest of it, then McLaren, what is going on with their strategy? Because,
oh, man.
Why are they pitting him so early, Oscar? Why are they pitting him so early?
They made the call. Oscar said, I don't think plan A is going to eventuate. Yeah, no. McLaren, though, here's the thing. He had about 7 seconds to Lando, and he was 3 seconds off the back of Verstappen. So in that instance, so early on, McLaren should have said, we understand, mate, but right now you're keeping pace with the others. Stick at it, and we'll reevaluate in 3 to 4 laps, right?
Yeah, correct.
And that's all that should have happened. And he probably should have just kept going, because he would have gone through that phase, I reckon, just like Lando did, that everyone else did, and then continued on. He might have lost ground to Verstappen because, well, I think Verstappen just had the faster. He was driving faster in the car, was faster on the weekend. And that's fine. But P2 was there. And it shouldn't have gone anywhere else. And Lando was allowed to pick up the pieces as a result of McLaren silly strategy calls. But geez, I will say one thing.
Yeah.
How good was that come through the field?
Yeah. He definitely made that next tire set work real hard and just kept smashing through the field. And that was good to see. I'm with you. Like, okay, nobody could have known that the tire would have gone through that initial graining phase and then come right again. But why he wasn't losing that much time? Yeah, Max had pushed out, but Max was pretty stable in front of him. So it feels so counterintuitive for the strategic team to make a decision to go, we're going to pull you out of the race, where we've got really no data from anyone else because barely anyone else had pitted. So you couldn't even really make an educated call of those going, so sometimes you've got the lower down teams that make a strategy call, go onto the different tire, and then you start seeing what their lap times are like. There was barely any of that. So they really didn't have a solid case to go, I'm going to go early. So I was when they pitted, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Then, of course, what happened next? Fucking safety car again. Shafted him. Oh, my goodness. Like, how unlucky can you be in a season with VSCs and safety cars?
To be honest, it shafted Lando this time as well, because he'd just come out of the pit lane when it called. So, I mean, it was for both of them.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't know, like hindsight's a beautiful thing because you know how it's going to play out, things like that. But I do distinctly remember, especially with Oscar, looking at the laps and looking at how far it was to go and seeing him pit and going, that doesn't make sense. It was about 5 laps too early to pit just in normal terms. And I said he had Lando behind him by about 7 seconds. Whatever, right? Like, you've got a cushion, and Lando wasn't exactly being hunted, so there's no reason to put yourself back in the pack like they did. So hopefully they learn from it because they really need to. And also, how the hell did they fuck up the pit stops?
He was an extra, I think it was a second, 1.2 or something over Lando. It was a terrible stop. It was that front right that just couldn't undo it properly. Shocking.
Yep. The coverage made me think it had gone longer than it had. That was another thing that pissed me off. Because they literally showed it and then re-showed it directly after on a different angle. And I thought it was still the same point because they hadn't actually shown Oscar leaving. So I'm like, fucking hell. I was losing my brain. It's trying not to yell.
And that's another thing, right? So you make the bad call, bad pit stop, and then had the poor timing. Just powered up. But look, maybe whilst we're feeling sad, let's take a second about the poor home Grand Prix for Antonelli. Didn't exactly excite the world in quali. Was okay, but then car failure. What the hell? Like,
we had 2 car failures. Who was the other one?
Was it
Ocon or was it Behrman?
No, the Haas. Behrman. Hang on.
I can't remember who it was now. I don't have it open in front of me.
I'll find it. You talk about Antonelli and I'll find it.
All right. Well, I mean, for Antonelli, man, it's a horrible situation to invite your own class all down or school all the way down and then, not have a great weekend. I mean, it's not a bad weekend by any stretch. He is still learning and it's a hard track because, you make a mistake. And as we saw, both Yuki and Colapinto and even Lawson had a spin in one of the practices in the same spot that Colapinto fenced it. So, like everyone, actually Hadjar also. So it's a track that punishes. So you have to be slightly careful. And I think, he did the right thing. Unfortunately for him in the race, the car stopped and interesting that we had 2 that stopped. I don't remember the last time we saw 2 cars just stop, but
Ocon was the other one. It's been a while since we had like cars kind of stop like that. So, traditional track, a bit of consequence on the exits and perhaps
hitting curbs a little too high, a little bit harder on the cars. It's these things happen, eh?
They do.
Well, that's all right. But we've sort of touched on this, but Ferrari coming back through the field on the Sunday, looking actually fairly competitive, probably helped a little bit by the VSC and the safety car, but they didn't look too bad.
I think there were some winners out of the safety car, but ultimately they looked like they had pace. I think if you kind of look at the strategies they pulled, they ended up really just maximizing being on the right tires at the right time. Hamilton really drove his little butt off again just to really put in a showing, and Leclerc I think did a great job. So it was sort of like that 0 to hero. It was amazing to sort of see that switch around, and suddenly the Tifosi are on their feet, everyone's getting excited, and like it was good to see.
It's funny when you qualify shite but then have a race where you don't actually make the podium but you have a good showing, everyone's just happy. But if they qualified 4th and 5th and stayed 4th and 5th, they would have been pissed.
They would have been a bit upset. Yeah, you're right. So in the end, it probably saves them from tragic outcomes. But like, it was good to see also. Like Williams just really seemed to capitalize at the right car at the right track with the right package. P5 and P8, and ultimately. Oh,
That's their fourth
best
consecutive points finish.
might be, I think, because Albon's been in it. Yeah. So yep.
You know that they're doing bloody well. That car's not slow.
No, they've made some great advancements, haven't they? So it's been really good, and ultimately just a little bit of the timing kind of impacted it. He was really on. Albon was really on for a possible podium there too at one point. So
yeah,
it really was. I think it was great to see them. We'll see how they go in the next few ones, because I think it's a little bit more track dependent, their car, but yeah, nobody, like, everyone's very happy for Williams to be back up there towards the front end of the field.
100%. If they do the right things for next year, then they could be, oh my God, my cat. They'll be really good, I think, next year. So we'll just keep our heads up. Oh yes, Yuki, the comeback king, Jeffrey. I don't know if I agree with that. I think he was fucking lucky with the VSC and safety car. I don't think he's fast enough, and I do think that if they had an opportunity, they would dish him quietly. I like Yuki, but I mean, yeah, okay, he's an upgrade over Lawson, but that's not saying much.
No, you wouldn't have thought that, but yeah, he's just basically holding his own in the same way Perez was. He's just no different. So
they need someone in there that's max-ish, like in terms of the way they drive. They don't need to be as fast as him, but they need to be able to handle the car. And they can't.
Yep, agree. I guess while we're on that, from zero to hero for Ferrari, what about the reverse? Heroes on Saturday, Aston Martin to
I'm the most unluckiest driver.
I'm thinking, I know quite a few drivers that haven't won world championships.
Probably should
have. Got people like Hulk who missed out a couple of times on getting points. We've got some pretty unlucky drivers.
Yeah, we do. I don't think he's unlucky at all. Look, they probably didn't, things didn't go well with the safety car and so forth for them. That's racing, isn't it? At the end of the day, even Carlos, Jeff just brought up. Carlos was a very unlucky one because he was battling towards the front and got screwed. So
got screwed. Yeah.
Look, that's just the way racing goes. Sometimes, I was battling and beating people, and then I ran out of fuel, and and then had a surge. Like, these things happen. It's racing. It's just racing.
It's just racing. So just the last thing was, I wanted to sort of ask you a bit of a question about what your thoughts were. So Leclerc and Albon had some little incident, and then they decided to swap that position back. What are your thoughts? Do you reckon he should have swapped back? Do you reckon he should have just plowed on and rolled the dice?
I'm in two minds about this because I only actually read this today.
Yeah.
And my thought was during the Grand Prix that he should give the position back. It's really, really difficult, and I get it, right? Like, Leclerc turns in, he's not intentionally trying to drive anyone off the road in that circumstance, but when you're on old tires and you're defending for your life, you understeer like a pig, which then shoved Albon off. I think the issue is, like Leclerc has said, and I think Verstappen has also reiterated, drivers now are having to be centimeter perfect with my axle needs to be here and this and that. And that's probably the bigger question of, do we need to relax that off a little bit and just let them dice? And if like the instance where Albon got shoved off the road, then maybe there is a penalty involved. This my axles in front thing it's already getting tiring listening to, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I guess now that it's kind of been uncovered, in numerous sort of things across the last few races, it does start to get that feel, and that was sort of my thoughts. Like, letter of the law, I think he did the right thing by handing it back because that rule, but it just shows that sometimes these things are they need some adjustment because it's not working for racing.
The onus, in my opinion, and what I always thought in racing, is on the person trying to pass to do it effectively and cleanly.
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
Yep.
That's how it's always been. So I don't know why we're at a stage where that doesn't apply almost, and we've got this really technical regulations to try and govern it. And it's too messy, man. Just go in, if room's given, then it's okay. If someone's forced off, then it's not. Yeah. But I think these drivers are also just far too used to tracks where they can take to an escape road. And I think that's why I actually had a thought about this.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon there is a way to fix this, right? So to have a little bit of runoff area, right? So this is what we have. We have a ripple strip.
Yep.
We have about, let's go, whatever the width of the car is, right?
Yep.
Gravel on the other side of that ripple strip. But then just over that, have a patch of tarmac that's 5 meters wide, whatever, right? Where they can regain control and then go on. Now, that way, you're going to have, if you drop a wheel trying to take the most out of it, you could come off. It doesn't just have to be gravel. It can be grass, for instance, in that little section. So, risk and reward and actually having to be a bit smarter, I think would be good for the category. But, who am I? I'm not safety. I'm not a track designer. So it'll go nowhere.
There you go. Well, thanks for answering that one. Because I just thought it was kind of weird because, to be honest, I didn't even give it too much thought until the redress happened, and I was like, "Oh, hang on, I better just go check that out again." But anyway, let's now finalize in the debrief our predictions.
Well, we can probably skip past this, mate.
Well, it won't take long because nobody got nothing. There is our predictions on the screen. And of course, the results were that Piastri got pole. Verstappen obviously won. Norris second, Piastri third. So missed on all buckets, mate.
I need a big X. Just
Wow.
That was horrible, man. That was
Yeah. So
moving on.
Right. Well, I guess that means we'll just take that one off, and and I guess we can kind of move on to the next thing. We're going to do the formation lap.
Yeah,
so let's rapid fire. We're going to do buy it, which means we agree with it, we think it's right, or
we're going to squash it.
And that means we dislike it, eh?
Yep, that's it.
All
right, Damo, I'll kick it off, mate. Should Williams be disappointed with their results?
I'm squashing that. I can understand why they are, because you have that taste where you could have perhaps snagged a podium if a couple of ducks got lined up. But I mean, if you said to them at the start of the season, maybe even after a couple of races, that they get this result, they would be loving it. And I think it does show that they're making the right progress and that they're still hungry for more. So I think it's good that they are a bit disappointed. But ultimately, I think it was a great result for them. Great progression. James Vowles just smashing it over there got the right drivers in, got the right team and changing all the internals, and it's working. So there you go.
100% agree with that one.
All right. The new C6 tire was a disaster for Pirelli.
Yep.
What do you think? Yeah?
Look,
buying that?
I am buying that. Look, there's arguments out there that are wrong. No, they differ from mine. Whereby they say that degradation and all this makes great racing. I call horse shit. It just, when they're qualifying, I want to see them at 100%. When they're racing, it's bad enough that they're full of fuel and that you have to be careful and trundle around. Like, I want to see them racing. The races where they are full flat chat, they make mistakes, the cars are pushed, everything's pushed. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see a tire disintegrating before my eyes, causing silly strategy calls like McLaren did. That's all. I'd rather see the procession and see them battling hard than that.
Yeah. Well, I think it was good for the race, but not good for quali, which is a shame. But both of us have rambled a fair bit for rapid fire, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We have.
All right,
let's make this faster.
Come on.
Damo, McLaren has butchered the first 7 races, not maximizing its pace advantage before round 9 of the championship. Obviously, referring to the changes.
I know there was even rumors. Here I go. I'm already off. Oh no, sorry. There was even rumors that after the brake inspection, which McLaren passed, that there were some changes kind of made, and that's why they didn't perform as well. I think they have not necessarily butchered it, but I definitely think they have not maximized it for sure. And we'll see what round 9 looks like, whether it is a big change or whether they're, like they keep telling us that nothing's going to change. They'll still be the same car.
Yep. I think round 1 at Australia, if Oscar doesn't spear off the track, we might have a different discussion. But right now, I think they've butchered it a little bit.
All right. Max Verstappen is the GOAT of racecraft.
100%. I don't think there's a denying that now. Anyone who doesn't like Max, and I'm not the greatest fan of him, but he is unbelievable in his racecraft. And I think he needs to start getting the accolades now. I think people need to lay off the bullshit. He's got the fastest car, or he's doing it. Like, we need to stop those discussions. We all have them far too often. The kid has talent. He's using it to great effect, and it's on display. And if you can't get around that now, you're just a sad sack of shit.
Yep, 100% agree. He's got it in spades.
Yep. Damo, this race shows Piastri is getting a big head.
So did you say Lando or Piastri? Sorry. No, I'm squashing that. Definitely lessons to be learnt, but yeah, he's certainly not a big head, and he's got it all switched on in the right way. He's fine. He's fine.
Yep. He's a rookie learning. That's all that there is to it.
Yep. And heading into Monaco, Ferrari can't afford to have an Imola style qualifying.
Yeah, I'm buying that. I am buying that. They will be right royally screwed to the hilt if they do that at Monaco.
No chance to come through the field.
Nah, not even with the change to the strategy, which we'll touch on in our next video that'll come out tomorrow. Tune in, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Nah.
Good question, Jeff. Not sure, but it's
How long has it been since the GOAT has even damaged the car? Yeah, because he did have that name for a long period of time.
But
I reckon probably 2020, mate. At a guess.
Yeah, and I guess one from a little earlier is that I think Max should have given the death wave for sure, mate.
And nobody but us know exactly what that is.
All right, well, that's the end of the formation lap.
It is.
We're going to kick off just on a couple of items as we round up this.
Oh, you found some stuff to talk about. I couldn't find anything.
There is there. Some of us have to. Maybe we'll start with a nice one, and we will go on. There's been an announcement that Disney and F1 have kicked off a bit of a relationship for 2026. Now, Disney own it. Hey?
Platonic or? Sorry. Yep. Go on.
That's the way it was reported. It was very funny. But Disney own ESPN, and there is an agreement in the US that's where it's broadcasted from. So that's got the broadcaster rights. But strange that it's been announced that Disney have got it. Now, Disney have done this quick foray into sports now, where they've got they've got the ice hockey, they've got some basketball. So it looks like they're driving more into that content. And I think for me, I do have Disney, being a bit of a Star Wars nut. And I'm just keen to see who the commentary team is, because I could possibly very easily make a switch. I can tell you.
Mark Scaife, call them up. Take it. No, joking.
Not Mark Scaife, not Danica Patrick, please. And the Sky people
we
are
need
not
Danica
moving.
Patrick, because every time Jensen is next to her,
fuck,
it's funny.
Hopefully Jensen's on there. That would be good.
Jensen's just like, I'm having an aneurysm.
Yeah, he's got this face and he's just like, no, I don't think that at all, actually. I think this. and like, it's so disappointing, because like Jamie Chadwick is so refreshing when she's on there.
Yeah, she's good.
Great insights, she's great questions. So, they've got someone in their pocket that they can use that's awesome, but just the American rounds, they just want to use Danica.
It's because they want to relate to all the Americans out there, and maybe some from the South.
Maybe.
Don't go.
Maybe. I'm going to move on. And let's go to something while we're on some touchy kind of subjects. And
also from the South.
We were also caught up in a little bit of this, so we did kind of feel like we didn't realize it was perhaps a bit of a bait, but there was some social media stuff that happened that was fake news.
It was funny content. Regardless
it was very
of whether
funny.
It was real or not. It was funny.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was very funny, but boy, did that go down like a freaking lead balloon. Oh my gosh.
Only for some of the extremists out there, I think it went down like a lead balloon. And this is, I actually want to have a discussion about this, Damien, because I have a feeling on this. Like, the Netflix era has brought the extremities of some of the fan base to this sport.
Yes.
Just a little too much, I think, because it's getting a little bit too, like, I'm all for the bands and we have a bit of fun, just like putting it up and having a giggle and all that. But there comes a little line where you just don't cross. Like, just pull back. Be better to yourself and to others, because death threats, things like that, they don't belong in the sport. And to be honest, if those people could be tracked down, I would like to see them somewhat either banned or, I don't know, fined or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's too far.
It'd be great if they could actually, have some sort of mechanism of backlash, because I guess it's those that spend too much time probably on social media where they're detaching that world from what happens in the real world, where they would never do this stuff. These people normally, there are some real shitbags that are just that person anyway, but most people that are making some of these things, they're just a bit too far gone into the social media. They spend too much time in there. And what I thought was really interesting was that it all kicked off obviously through the Dawns, and then it kind of moved, and there was some stuff happening to Yuki. So it just kind of morphed and just grew and got way out of control.
I don't understand the Yuki thing, and I haven't actually seen the comments surrounding it. All I know is that it was enough for Colapinto to actually make a statement about it.
Yeah.
So it must have been
glad he did.
Fairly fucking bad, to be honest.
Yeah. Apparently it was getting a little out of control, just mainly like lots of like death threats and like barrage. And it wasn't like, sometimes you sort of think that some people sit there and, they like a lot of, in my opinion, like some of the Hollywood stars, they get one person or two people saying bad things and it's like the world's caving in. But like this seemed like it was pretty thorough, barrage of people going, and some of the stuff I saw just in the social side of it, God knows what was going on through DMs and stuff. So let's hope that kind of settles or at least simmers back a little bit. Passion's good, a bit of banter's good, but sometimes just, as you say, knowing where that line is and perhaps not crossing it would be good.
Yeah, I think just in general, be better, be kind,
be better,
and have fun with it. Like, just like, you don't need to turn it personal to anything. You can just argue it properly. Use the brain.
just argue it properly. Now, I've put some music on, Steve, as we wrap up this one, because
sorry,
it is a little bit like that, because I just want to take a moment and say thanks everyone for watching. We're going to have our new recording, so not just a normal YouTube video on the Monaco preview. So have a look out for that. Join us on the socials. But as I say farewell, I'll let you do a wrap up. I just wanted to share some iconic pictures that we had from the Imola Grand Prix. This is on the F1 website.
Yep.
And just like, how nice are some of these photos? Like, just, you don't get this at some of these boring tracks, you know? Look at the churches in the background.
It's beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
And I don't care what anyone says. Race cars are meant to be raced in picturesque locations, not in dull, boring, batshit places. And look at that. Like, just seeing a house. Like right there. How good.
And you got the elevation, so you get the real good perspective. And like, you got the roof of a house here. We've got the famous Imola house where, you know, they spend a fortune to be able to rent out that place and get right up close. I mean, amazing stuff.
Unbelievable.
Another one that's this one
just
through the trees.
Look at that. Through the trees from a high perspective. Like, we're going to miss these things. Like, you know, these big tracks where you got massive runoffs. It's boring in photos.
Yeah, it is.
It
And
really is boring.
The next round at Monaco, another iconic piece of tarmac that has some of the best photos that you'll find, like through the barriers, you know, up high with the swimming pool. Oh, I'm very much looking forward to this section. Spain, boring. It's not as good. It's sort of that mid track that kind of happened in between, where it's still got a little bit of feels about it, but not like these iconic ones. And
it's like Baku. Baku is the same, right? It's just really cool. Like those types of tracks, you know, we need them. They just
do.
They make F1 beautiful.
They do make them beautiful. They do. So with that,
on music, Damo, I'm really chilling to this.
Oh, good. I didn't test it out before. I just picked it and thought, I hope it's going to work.
I love it. I love it.
That is the end of this one. So thanks for us, Steve. And
thank you, Damo.
We will catch you all very soon. Thanks for joining us. And
check out
thanks, Jeff.
The video tomorrow. Jeffrey, you're a legend, mate. I've got my moonshine, which isn't actually moonshine. I'll see you at the next event.
Beautiful. All right. So with that, see you later.
See you guys.